Greetings, everyone. This is Rock and Roll Spot Connection with the second part of my Magic the Gathering Kamigawa Neon Dynasty unboxing series. We've already covered the commander decks from the set. Now we'll be cracking open a sealed booster box of the set. Draft booster box. We will also be doing a set booster box and a booster bundle. And I got a few extra loose boosters to kind of even things up for both. Because reasons. Anyway, so like I said, we've looked at the commander decks. There was a red Gruul commander deck that focused on largely on modifying creatures, named through either equipment or enchantments or +1/+1 counters. And the other one focused heavily on vehicles and vehicles in particular, artifacts in general, and was an Azorius deck. So both of those decks will likely have bits and pieces making their way into future commander decks, which we'll likely be going over in a segment I am working on, which I already have mentioned once in the commander deck unboxings. But I'm working on starting up a segment similar to building the team. We'll focus largely on Magic decks. Right now, the only one that I haven't really gotten into it is only name I've really got for it is stacking the deck. And well, there are certain connotations that go with that terminology. So let's get started, shall we? Now, to make sure that this video does not go anywhere near as long as the commander deck video did, I will only be opening half of the draft booster box, and then the other half. We got ourselves a nifty little piece of artwork. I kind of like these. And we get Neo Draft Archetypes. White-blue vehicles, blue-black ninjas, black-red artifact sacrifice, blue-green, red-green modification, blue-white enchantments, white-black balance, blue-red artifacts, black-green recursion, red-white samurai, and green-blue ramp. Okay, all right. So yeah, we're not going to be going through the entirety of the box in one video. We'll be just going through, like I said, half of it plus a couple. Plus, I got a few extra loose boosters. So I want to even up the numbers. One, two, three, four, 6. 6. 6 and so let's get cracking. Packs, that is. All right, so our first draft booster. I bought a draft pack a few weeks ago, so I have opened a little bit of the set already. There are some special things I'm probably going to try and go over if I don't pull them. At least one really neat thing that I pulled out of one of the boosters I bought early on before the unboxing. So, all right, kicking things off, we have Spell Pierce, an instant for 1 blue. Counter target non-creature spell unless its controller pays 2. Okay, alright. Next up we have Dramatis Puppet, a 2/4 artifact creature, construct artifact creature, or 4. When Dramatis Puppet enters the battlefield, for each kind of counter on target permanent, put another counter of that kind on it, or remove one from it. Okay, nice way to you can stop someone from hitting you with a lot of -1/-1 counters with that. That's nice. I like it. Anyway, next up, Kindled Fury, an instant for 1 red. Target creature gets +1/+0 and gains first strike until end of turn. Okay. Next up, we have Reckoner's Shakedown, a sorcery for 2 colorless and 1 black. Target opponent reveals their hand. You may choose a non-land card from it. If you do, that player discards that card. If you don't, put 2 +1/+1 counters on a creature or vehicle you control. Alright, that's cool. Then we've got Fade into Antiquity, a sorcery for 2 colorless and 1 green. Exile target artifact or enchantment. Okay. Oof. Next up is Armguard Familiar. An equipment beast artifact creature for 2/1 for 1 colorless and 1 blue. Also has a reconfigure cost of 4 and ward 2. Pay 2 generic mana. When this permanent becomes the target of a spell or ability an opponent controls, counter it unless that player pays 2. Okay, so you don't have to pay for it, but your opponent has to. Equipped creature gets +2/+1 and has ward 2. Reconfigure, we went over this in the commander deck video. Attach a target creature you control or unattach from a creature. Reconfigure only as a sorcery. While attached, this isn't a creature. Okay, so it's basically the equipped cost with some extra flavor. Next, we have Dragonfly Suit, a 3/2 vehicle artifact with flying and crew 1 for 2 colorless and 1 white. Yeah, we got mech suits. Friggin' mech suits in Magic. How awesome is that? Next is Peerless Samurai, a 2/3 human samurai for 2 colorless and 1 red. With menace, meaning it can't be blocked except by 2 or more creatures. Whenever a samurai or warrior you control attacks alone, the next spell you cast this turn costs 1 less to cast. Okay. Next is Jukai Preserver, a 3/3 enchantment creature, enchantment human druid for 3 colorless and 1 green. When Jukai Preserver enters the battlefield, put a +1/+1 counter on target creature you control. Channel, 2 colorless, 1 green. Discard Jukai Preserver. Put a +1/+1 counter on each of up to 2 target creatures you control. Okay. We have a Saga. Oh, and Sagas are, Sagas are are transforming cards. Life of Toshiro Umezawa, a Saga enchantment for 1 colorless and 1 black. As the Saga enters, and after your draw step, add a lore counter. With 1 and 2 lore counters, choose one. Target creature gets +2/+2 until end of turn. Target creature gets -1/-1 until end of turn, or you gain 2 life. 3. Exile this Saga, then returns to the battlefield transformed under your control. Or when it becomes Memory of Toshiro, a human samurai enchantment creature with 2/3. Tap, pay 1 life, add 1 black. So this mana only to cast an instant or sorcery spell. Okay. Then we've got Jukai Naturalist, a 2/2 human monk enchantment creature with lifelink for 1 green and 1 white. Enchantment spells you cast cost 1 colorless less to cast. Okay. Then we have Mech Hanger. It's a land. Be tapped for 1 colorless, or add 1 mana of any color. Spend this mana only to cast a pilot or vehicle spell, or 3 mana tap. Target vehicle becomes an artifact creature until end of turn. That was something I noticed a lot especially in the the Azorius Commander deck was that there are a lot of ways to just bypass the crew requirements on vehicles, and I like that. Next, we have Invigorating Hot Spring, which I think was actually in the Gruul Commander deck, but it's an enchantment for one color, one generic, one red, and one green. Enters the battlefield with 4+1/+1 counters on it. Modified creatures you control have haste. Modified is the term they've coined for this set. Well, starting with this set. Equipment, auras you control, and counters are modifications. Remove a +1/+1 counter from Reinvigorating Hot Spring and put a +1/+1 counter on a target creature you control. Activate only as a sorcery and only once each turn. Okay. Next, and what's our rare, we've got Mindlink Mech, a 4/3 vehicle artifact with flying and crew 1 for 2 colorless and 1 blue. Whenever it becomes crewed for the first time each turn, until end of turn, Mindlink Mech becomes a copy of target non-legendary creature that crewed at this turn, except it's 4/3, it's a vehicle artifact in addition to other types, and it has flying. Okay, alright. Then we got planes, just, you know, simple. Yeah, I think we will go. And we got a 1/1 spirit token. Okay. Bring this to our next booster. I'm actually pretty sure that some of these are cards I already pulled out of the draft pack and the theme boosters that I already bought. I bought a black theme booster and a green theme booster because that was all that was available when I saw them. Anyway, next we have Shrine Steward, a 3/2 construct artifact creature for 5. When Shrine Steward enters the battlefield, you may search your library for an aura or shrine card, reveal it, put it into your hand, then shuffle. Okay. Then we have Harmonious Emergence, which is a land enchantment for 3 colorless and 1 green. Enchanted Land is a 4/5 green spirit creature with vigilance and haste. It's still a land. If enchanted land would be destroyed, instead sacrifice Harmonious Emergence, and that land is indestructible until end of turn. Okay. Okay, that I can get behind when it comes to the idea of turning lands into creatures. I'm generally not fond of that, so yeah. Next we have Moonfolk Puzzlemaker, a 1/4 Moonfolk wizard artifact creature with flying for 2 colorless and 1 blue. Whenever it becomes tapped, scry 1. Okay. Next is Light the Way, an instant for 1 white. Choose 1. Put a +1/+1 counter on target creature or vehicle. Untap it. Return target permanent you control to its owner's hand. Okay. Next up is Experimental Synthesizer, an artifact for 1 red. When it enters the battlefield, or enters or leaves the battlefield, exile the top card of your library. Until your end of turn, you may play that card. 2 generic, 1 red. Sacrifice Experimental Synthesizer. Create a 2/2 white samurai creature token with vigilance. Activate only as a sorcery. Okay. Then we've got Undercity Scrounger, a 1/4 human rogue artifact creature for 2 generic and 1 black. Tap. Create a treasure token. Activate only if a creature died this turn. Okay. Treasure tokens are artifacts that tap, sacrifice this artifact, add 1 mana of any color. Then we've got Seven Tail Mentor, a 2/3 fox samurai for 3 generic and 1 white. When Seven-Tailed Mentor enters the battlefield or dies, put a +1/+1 counter on target creature or vehicle you control. Okay. Then we've got ourselves one of the alternate art cards, Aki Ronin, a 1/3 Goblin Samurai for 1 generic and 1 red. Whenever a samurai or warrior you control attacks alone, you may discard a card. If you do, draw a card. Okay? I'll set that there. The next is Voltage Surge, an instant for 1 red, and with an additional cost of sacrificing an artifact, you may sacrifice an artifact for casting a spell. Deals 2 damage to target creature or planeswalker. If the additional cost is paid, it deals 4 instead. Okay, alright. We have another saga, The Modern Age. With 1 lore counter, 1 and 2 lore counters, you draw a card, then discard a card. With 3, exile it, and it comes back to play transformed as the Vector Glider, a 2/3 blue spirit with flying. That's literally all it's got. Next up is Thirst for Knowledge. It's an instant for 2 generic and 1 blue. That's Tezzeret, because Tezzeret's back. Draw 3 cards, then discard 2 cards unless you discard an artifact card. Okay. I think Thirst for Knowledge is a reprint. Not complaining, just, you know. Next up we have Banishing Slash. A sorcery for 2 white. Destroy up to 1 target artifact, enchantment, or tapped creature. Then, if you control an artifact and an enchantment, create a 2/2 white samurai creature token with vigilance. Okay? Next up, Discover the Impossible. It's an instant for 2 generic and 1 blue. Look at the top 5 cards of your library. Exile one of them face down and put the rest on the bottom of your library in a random order. You may cast the exile card without paying its mana cost if it's an instant spell with mana value 2 or less. If you don't, put that card into your hand. Okay. And then our rare. Ooh. Hidetsugu, Devouring Chaos. A 4/4 legendary ogre demon. Hidetsugu actually appeared in the original Kamigawa block, where he was Heartless Hidetsugu, and was a red creature. If I remember correctly, he worshipped the Onis. Worshipped and or you had deals with Onis. It's been a minute since I've read those, so yeah. Black, for 1 black, sacrifice creature, scry 2. 2 generic, 1 red, and tap. Exile the top card of your library. You may play that card this turn. When you exile a non-land card this way, Hidetsugu, Devouring Chaos, deals damage equal to the exiled card's mana value to any target. Okay, alright. Then we have Swiftwater Cliffs. Land that generates both red and blue mana, enters the battlefield tapped. And when it enters the battlefield, you gain 1 life. Okay. Ugh. So we got, yeah. Try this. See, that stuff things from falling down. Yes, everything comes to play tap. Everything comes out of the booster tapped. Those are the new rules. Rules. Ha. That's just how we're doing things now. Alright. Mainly in the hopes of avoiding more falling cards. And we also have ourselves a 1/1 construct token. Alright, so on to our 3rd booster. I'm actually super stoked about getting Hidetsugu. I really am. Well, the new Hidetsugu. Nice. It's nice to see returning faces. Alright, so first off, we've got Network Terminal, an artifact for 3 mana. Tap, add 1 mana of any color. 1 generic, tap. Tap another untapped artifact you control. Draw a card, then discard a card. Okay? Then we have another. What was that? Do we already have Reckoner's Bargain in here? No, we did not. Okay. Then we've got Reckoner's Bargain, an instant for one generic and 1 black. As an additional cost to cast a spell, sacrifice an artifact or creature. You gain life equal to the sacrificed permanent's mana value. Draw 2 cards. Okay, alright. Next is Bearer of Memory, a 3/2 human monk enchantment creature for 2 generic and 1 green. 5 generic, 1 green. Put a +1/+1 counter on target enchantment creature. It gains trample until end of turn. Okay, alright. That can always be useful. There's some interesting ways to work with that. Enchantment creatures, after all, are the gods of Theros are all enchantment creatures. So, and at least 7 of them have green in their color identity. So that works. And of course, there's always other color combinations. So yeah. Then we've got Moonsnare Prototype, an artifact for 1 blue. Tap. Tap an untapped artifact or creature you control, add 1 colorless. Channel, 4 generic, 1 blue, discard Moonsnare Prototype. The owner of target non-land permanent puts it on the top or bottom of their library. Okay. Then we have Imperial Oath, a sorcery for 5 generic and 1 white. Create 3 2/2 white samurai creature tokens with vigilance, then scry 3. Okay. Next we've got Ambitious Assault, an instant for 2 generic and 1 red. Creatures you control get +2/+0 until end of turn. If you control a modified creature, draw a card. Okay. Then we've got Inkrise Infiltrator, the 1/2 human ninja with flying for 1 generic and 1 black. For 3 generic and 1 black, Inkrise Infiltrator gets +2/+2 until end of turn. Okay. Sadly, no ninjutsu. Then we've got Sky Swimmer Koi, a 3/3 fish with flying for 3 generic and 1 blue. Whenever an artifact enters the battlefield under your control, you may draw a card. If you do, discard a card. We've got ourselves another saga, The Fall of Lord Kanda. Unlike the other 2 we've gotten, there are 2 different things for the first 2 lore counters. 1 lore counter, exile target creature an opponent controls with mana value 4 or greater. 2, each player gains control of all permanents they own. 3, exile return transformed as Fragment of Kanda, a 1/3 human noble enchantment creature with Defender. When it dies, draw a card. Okay. Then we have Acquisition Octopus, a 2/2 octopus equipment artifact creature for 2 generic and 1 blue. Whenever Acquisition Octopus or equipped creature deals combat damage to a player, draw a card, has a reconfigure cost of 2, which, as I stated, is basically is a degree of the equip cost. Next up, Covert Technician, a 2/4 human ninja artifact creature with ninjutsu, 1 colorless, 1 blue, for 2 generic, 1 blue. Whenever a Covert Technician deals combat damage to a player, you may put an artifact card with a mana value less than or equal to that damage from your hand onto the battlefield. Now, ninjutsu works as such. Return an unblocked attacker you control to hand. Put this card onto the battlefield from your hand, tapped and attacking. And there are some very interesting things you can do that can be done with it. But yeah. Next up, we have Secluded Courtyard, which is a land. Non-basic, obviously. As it enters the battlefield, choose a creature type. Tap, add 1 colorless. Tap, add 1 mana of any color. Spend this mana only to cast a creature spell of the chosen type or activate an ability of a creature or creature card of the chosen type. Okay, alright. Then our rare, we've got March of Wretched Sorrow. An instant for X generic and 1 black. As an additional cost to cast a spell, you may exile any number of black cards from your hand. This spell costs 2 generic less to cast for each card exiled this way. March of Wretched Sorrow deals X damage to target creature or planeswalker, and you gain X life. Okay, alright. Kind of like the old Drain Life. A little different, but similar. Next up, we have a foil. Kami of Terrible Secrets. It's a 3/4 spirit for 3 generic and 1 black. Look at that. Look at it getting all shiny. When Kami of Terrible Secrets enters the battlefield, if you control an artifact and an enchantment, you draw a card and you gain 1 life. Okay. Then we have, I think that, yeah, we got Plains, one of the showcase ones. Okay. And a transformation card. Three boosters in a row with transformation cards. Midnight Hunt had werewolves that obviously would transform. Crimson Vow had vampires and others that would. There were also non-werewolves in Midnight Hunt that transformed, but it was largely werewolves. Then we got Sagas that transform in this one. Okay, on to our next booster though. We have Papercraft Decoy, a 2/1 frog artifact creature for 2 generic, or for 2 mana. When it leaves the battlefield, you may pay 2 generic. If you do, draw a card. Okay. Next up, Kami's Flare, an instant for 1 generic and 1 red. Deals 3 damage to target creature or planeswalker. Also deals 2 damage to that permanent's controller if you control a modified creature. I kind of like that, actually. Next we have You Are Already Dead, an instant for 1 black. Destroy target creature that was dealt damage this turn. Draw a card. Okay? Simple enough. I dig it. Then we have Tamio's Safekeeping, an instant for 1 green. Target permanent you control gains hexproof and indestructible until end of turn. You gain 2 life. Okay. Next, Mirror Shell Crab, a 5/7 artifact or crab artifact creature with Ward 3 for 5 generic and 2 blue. Also has Channel, 2 generic, 1 blue. Discard Mirror Shell Crab to counter target spell or ability unless its controller pays 3. Okay. Next, Golden Tail Disciple, a 2/3 Fox Monk artifact or enchantment creature with lifelink for 2 generic and 1 white. And Twisted Embrace, an enchantment that targets the other artifacts or creatures you control for 2 generic and 2 black. When it enters the battlefield, destroy target creature or planeswalker an opponent controls. As long as the enchanted permanent is a creature, it gets +1/+1. Okay. Then we've got Guardians of Oboro, a 3/4 Moonfolk Samurai with Defender for 2 generic and 1 blue. Modified creatures you control can attack as if they didn't have Defender. So you just gotta modify that, and hey, it can attack. Then we've got Intercessor's Arrest, which enchants an enchantment that's permanent for 2 generic and 1 white. Enchanted permanent can't attack, block, or crew vehicles. Its activated abilities can't be activated unless they're mana abilities. Ooh. Another Saga. Okiba Reckoner Raid. They had both 1 and 2 lower counters. Each opponent loses 1 life and you gain 1 life. And it transforms into Nezumi Road Captain, a 2/2 Rat Rogue enchantment creature with Menace. Vehicles you control have Menace. Okay. Then we got ourselves another Spotlight card. Nezumi Prowler, a 3/1 Rat Ninja with Ninjutsu, 1 generic, 1 black, for 1 generic and 1 black. When it enters the battlefield, target creature you control gains Death Touch and Lifelink until end of turn. Always a nice combination. Then we have Goshintai of the Shared Purpose, a 1/3 legendary enchantment shrine creature with vigilance for 3 generic and 1 white. At the beginning of your end step, you may pay 1 generic. If you do, create a 1/1 colorless spirit creature token for each shrine you control. Okay. Apparently, shrines are getting kind of big in the meta. Moving on, we have the Dokuchi Silencer, a 2/1 human ninja for 1 generic and 1 black. Has a ninjutsu cost also of 1 generic and 1 black. Whenever it deals combat damage to a player, you may discard a creature card. When you do, destroy target creature or planeswalker that the player controls. Okay. For our rare, we've got the Surge Hacker Mech, a 5/5 vehicle artifact with crew requirement of 4 and menace for 4 mana. When it enters the battlefield, it deals damage equal to twice the number of vehicles you control, or target creature or planeswalker opponent controls. I think this was actually in the artifact commander deck too. So, huzzah! We got Dismal Backwater. It's a land that generates blue and black. Comes into play tapped. When it enters the battlefield, you gain 1 life. And we got one of the samurai tokens. I'm hoping there's a legendary red-white samurai. Maybe I can try and put together a red-white Boros samurai deck. That'd be kind of neat, right? Okay. Next booster. Start off with Ninja's Kunai, an equipment artifact for 1 mana with an equip cost of 1. The equipped creature has 1 mana, tap, sacrifice Ninja's Kunai. Ninja's Kunai deals 3 damage to any target. Okay. Then we have Ecologist's Terrarium, an artifact for 2 mana. When it enters the battlefield, you may search your library for a basic land card, reveal it, put it into your hand, then shuffle. 2 mana, tap, sacrifice the Ecologist's Terrarium. Put a +1/+1 counter on target creature. Activate only as a sorcery. Okay. We have Careful Cultivation. An aura that enchants either artifacts or creatures for 2 generic and 1 green. As long as the enchanted permanent is a creature, it gets +1/+3 and has reach, and tap, add 2 green. Channel, 1 generic, 1 green, discard Careful Cultivation. Create a 1/1 green human monk creature token with tap, add 1 green. Okay. Next up, Kitsune Ace, a 2/2 fox pilot for 1 generic and 1 white. Whenever a vehicle you control attacks, choose one. That vehicle gains first strike until end of turn, or untap Kitsune Ace. I like him. I like him already. Next up, Kami of Industry, a 3/6 spirit for 4 generic and 1 red. When it enters the battlefield, return target artifact card with mana value 3 or less from your graveyard to the battlefield. It gains haste. Sacrifice at the beginning of the next end step. Okay, alright. Then we've got Kami of Terrible Secrets. I think we already. Yeah. Yeah. Followed by Bamboo Grove Archer, a 3/3 snake archer enchantment creature with defender and reach for 1 generic and 1 green. Channel 4 generic, 1 green. Discard Bamboo Grove Archer. Destroy target creature with flying. Okay. Damn. Then we have another showcase. Nezumi Blade Blaster, a 3/2 rat samurai for 2 generic and 1 black. Has Death Touch as long as you control an artifact. Menace as long as you control an enchantment. Okay. We have Heir of the Ancient Fang, a 2/3 snake samurai for 2 generic and 1 green. Enters the battlefield with a +1/+1 counter on it if you control a modified creature. Okay. We have a saga, the Shattered States Era. 1 lore counter. Gain control of target creature until end of turn. Untap it, gains haste until end of turn. 2 lore counters. Creatures you control get +1/+0 until end of turn, or transforms into Nameless Conqueror, a 3/3 human samurai enchantment creature with trample and haste. Next up is our Tawashi Guidebot. Then we have a Hotshot Mechanic, a 2/1 Fox Pilot artifact creature for 1 white. Cruise vehicles as though its power were 2 greater. Okay, so basic cruise vehicles as though it had power of 4. Nice. We have Web Spinner Cuff, a 1/4 Equipment Spider artifact creature with reach for 2 generic and 1 green. Equipped creature gets +1/+4 and has reach. Has a reconfigure cost of 4. That appears to be the common reconfigure cost. We have we got not just that, we got a mythic. It's another saga. Hidetsugu Consumes All. 1 lore counter. Destroy each non-land permanent with mana value 1 or less. 2. Exile all graveyards. 3. It's exiled and returns transformed. Where it becomes a 3/3 enchantment ogre shaman enchantment creature with trample, Vessel of the All-Consuming. Also, the casting cost is one generic, 1 black, and 1 red. Whenever Vessel of the All-Consuming deals damage, put a +1/+1 counter on it. Whenever it deals damage to a player, if it has dealt 10 or more damage to that player this turn, they lose the game. Okay. And we got ourselves a Spotlight Mountain. I like these. I really do. And a green human monk token. We got our first mythic. Okay, alright. Our first duplicate. Took five boosters. We finally got a duplicate from what we pulled out of this. I mean, not counting stuff we pulled from, the commander deck or stuff I pulled earlier. And so far we got a foil too. Anyway, moving on to our next booster. Iron Apprentice. A 0/0 construct artifact creature for 1. Enters the battlefield with a +1/+1 counter on it. When it dies, if it had counters on it, put those counters on target creature you control. Alright. Then we've got Lethal Exploit. An instant for 1 generic and 1 black. Target creature gets -2/-2 until it's on a turn. It gets an additional -1/-1 until end of turn for each modified creature you controlled as you cast a spell. Ooh. Okay. Next up, Favor of Jukai. It's an artifact, or it's an enchantment. Targets your artifacts or creatures for 3 generic and 1 green. As long as the enchanted permanent is a creature, it gets +3/+3 and has reach. Channel, 1 generic, 1 green, discard Favor of Jukai. Target creature is +3/+3 and gains reach until end of turn. Okay. Next up, Disruption Protocol, an instant for 2 blue. As an additional cost to cast a spell, tap an untapped artifact you control or pay 1 generic. Counter target spell. Okay. Good old blue control. Never change. Next up, Repel the Vile, an instant for 3 generic and 1 white. Choose 1. Exile target creature's power 4 or greater, or exile target enchantment. Okay. Next up, Explosive Entry. It's a sorcery for 1 generic and 1 red. Destroy up to 1 target artifact, but a +1/+1 counter up to 1 target creature. Next up is Virus Beetle, a 1/1 insect artifact creature for 1 generic and 1 black. When it enters the battlefield, each opponent discards a card. Okay. We got ourselves another showcase card, Coiling Stalker, a 2/1 snake ninja with ninjutsu, 1 generic and 1 green for 1 generic and 1 green. Whenever a Coiling Stalker deals combat damage to a player, put a +1/+1 counter on target creature you control that doesn't have a +1/+1 counter on it. Okay, I like that. Followed up by Gift of Wrath. It's an enchantment that targets either artifact or creatures for 3 generic and 1 red. As long as the enchantment permanent is a creature, +2/+2 and menace. And when it leaves the battlefield, create a 2/2 red spirit creature token with menace. Okay. Then we got our saga, Kumano Faces Kakazan. It's a saga enchantment that costs 1 red. 1 lore counter. Deals 1 damage to each opponent and each planeswalker they control. 2. Excuse me. When you cast your next creature spell this turn, that creature enters the battlefield with an additional +1/+1 counter on it. It transforms into Etching of Kumano, a 2/2 human shaman and enchantment creature with haste. Another familiar face, actually. If a creature dealt damage this turn by a source you controlled would die, exile it instead. Which is actually what, if I remember correctly, Kumano in Champions of Kamigawa did. So, next up, Oni Cult Anvil, an artifact for 1 red, black and 1 red. I like that. Whenever 1 or more artifacts you control leave the battlefield during your turn, create a 1/1 colorless construct artifact creature token. This ability triggers only once each turn. Tap, sacrifice an artifact. Oni Cult Anvil deals 1 damage to each opponent. You gain 1 life. Okay, alright. Then we've got Selfless Samurai, a 2/2 Fox Samurai for 1 generic and 1 white. Whenever a samurai or warrior you control attacks alone, it gains lifelink until end of turn. Sacrifice Selfless Samurai. Another target creature you control gains indestructible until end of turn. Okay. Goshintai of Lost Wisdom, a legendary shrine enchantment creature with flying and 0/4 for 1 generic and 1 blue. Like I said, shrines are kind of a big deal to meta at the moment. At the beginning of your end step, you may pay 1 generic, 1 mana. When you do, target player mills X cards, where X is the number of shrines you control. Okay. I imagine that's a large part of the jank with them. Next up, Thundering Raiju, a 3/3 spirit with haste for 2 generic and 2 red. Whenever Thundering Raiju attacks, put a +1/+1 counter on target creature you control. Then, Thundering Raiju deals X damage to each opponent, where X is the number of modified creatures you control other than Thundering Raiju. Okay. We have a Windscarred Crag. Enters the battlefield tap, generates white and red. When it enters the battlefield, you gain 1 life. And we got a Treasure Token. Alright. Moving on to our next booster. Alright. We've got Aki Warpaint. A creature artifact enchantment for 1 red. Aki were the goblins of Kamigawa. In fact, they have the creature type goblin. As long as enchanted permanent is a creature, it gets +2/+1. Okay. Next, we have Unstoppable Ogre, a 4/1 Ogre Warrior artifact creature for 2 generic and 1 red. When an Unstoppable Ogre enters the battlefield, target creature can't block this turn. Okay. Next, Debt to the Kami, an instant for 2 generic and 1 black. Choose 1. Target opponent exiles a creature they control. Target opponent exiles an enchantment they control. Okay. Next up, Master's Rebuke, an instant for 1 generic and 1 green. Target creature you control deals damage equal to its power to target creature or planeswalker you don't control. Okay. Fighting without fighting, basically. Next up, Short Circuit, an enchantment, an artifact or creature enchantment with flash for 1 generic and 1 blue. As long as the enchanted permanent the creature gets -3/-0 and loses flying. Okay. Next up, Ancestral Katana. It's an artifact, equipment artifact for 1 generic and 1 white. We have an equip cost of 3. Whenever a samurai or warrior you control attacks alone, you may pay 1 generic or 1 mana. When you do, attach Ancestral Katana to it. Equipped creature gets +2/+1. Okay. We have. Did we already? Yeah, we have an extra. We have a second Nezumi Blade, alternate Nezumi Blade Blesser. Then we have another Heir of the Ancient Fang. Then we have Tamio's Completion. An artifact, creature, or planeswalker enchantment with flash for 3 generic and 1 blue. So a major plot point in this is that the blue Phyrexian Praetor Jin-Gitaxias completes Tamio, and she becomes Phyrexian. When Tamio's completion enters the battlefield, tap enchanted permanent. If it's an equipment, unattach it. Enchanted permanent loses all abilities it doesn't untap during its control's untap step. Okay. Then we have. Did we already get the Modern Age? Yeah. Got another copy of the Modern Age. Another Invigorating Hot Springs. Another Mech Hanger. Then we have. As our rare. Or no, not our rare. We have Heiko Yamazaki, the General, a 3/3 legendary human samurai with trample for 3 generic and 1 red. He's got a lightsaber. Well, sort of. Not really. He has a copyright dodging energy sword of some type. Whenever a samurai or warrior you control attacks alone, you may cast target artifact card from your graveyard this turn. I'm kind of thinking that a samurai deck would really benefit from some stuff like Exalted. And I think we got Mind Link. Yeah, we got it. And we have our first duplicate rare in the form of Mind Link Mac. Let's set that there. We got our Tranquil Cove. Say it generates blue and white. Enters the battlefield tapped, and when it does so, you gain 1 life. And another treasure token. Okay. And we're starting to rack up those duplicates now, aren't we? So I mentioned with Heiko Yamazaki, the General, Exalted. So Exalted is was an ability. I'm not sure what block it was introduced in, but the way it works is that it triggers off of creatures attacking by themselves. I think if I remember correctly, they get like +1/+1 if they do so, and if you have a whole bunch of creatures with Exalted, and then like one creature that attacks, whether they have Exalted or not, they get a whole bunch of just +1/+1 buffs. All right. First off, we have Automated Artificer, a 1/3 Artificer artifact creature for 2 generic, or for 2 mana. Tap. Add 1 colorless. Spend this mana only to activate an ability or cast an artifact spell. Okay. Then we have Spell Pierce, an instant for 1 blue. Counter target non-creature spell unless its controller pays 2 mana. Do we only? Yeah. Oh, that's the one. Actually, that's a duplicate. Oops. Another Short Circuit, another Ancestral Katana. We have Simeon Sling, a 1/1 equipment monkey equipment artifact creature for 1 red. Equipped creature gets +1/+1. Whenever Simeon Sling or equipped creature becomes blocked, it deals 1 damage to the depending player. Okay, this has a reconfigure cost of 2. Alright, so 4 is not the regular cost. Another Reckoner's Bargain, another Bearer of Memory. Ah, okay. We have Imperial Subduer, a 3/2 human samurai for 2 generic and 1 white. Whenever a samurai or warrior you control attacks alone, tap target creature you don't control. Okay. Next up, Moon Circuit Hacker, a 2/1 human ninja enchantment creature for 1 generic and 1 blue. We got a ninjutsu cost of just 1 blue. Whenever it deals combat damage to a player, you may draw a card. If you do, discard a card, unless Moon Circuit Hacker entered the battlefield this turn. Okay. Next up, we have our saga, Machiko's Reign of Truth. 1 and 2 lore counters. Target creature gets +1/+1 until on a turn for each artifact and or enchantment you control. Then we've got, it becomes Portrait of Machiko, a 0/0 human noble enchantment creature. But Machiko's Reign of Truth, as you can see, costs 1 generic and 1 white. Machiko Kondo was the daughter of the Lord of Iganjo in the original Kamigawa block. She became an ally to Toshiro Omizawa. That Portrait of Machiko gets +1/+1 for each artifact and or enchantment you control. Okay. Another mech hanger. Oh, and we got the alternate version of the General. That's nifty. And then we got the Secluded Courtyard. It's a land. As it enters the battlefield, choose a creature type. Tap, add 1 generic. Add 1 colorless. Tap, add 1 mana of any color. Spend this mana only to cast a creature spell of the chosen type, or activate an ability of a creature or creature card of the chosen type. Okay. And we got another saga, Tribute to Horobi, which costs 1 generic and 1 black. 1 and 2 lore counters. Each opponent generates a 1/1 black rat rogue creature token. That becomes Echo of Death's Wail, a 3/3 spirit enchantment creature with flying and haste. I think if I remember correctly, Horobi was a creature in the old Kamigawa block, Horobi Death's Wail. When Echo of Death's Wail enters the battlefield, gain control of all rat tokens. Whenever Echo of Death's Wail attacks, you may sacrifice another creature. If you do, draw a card. Okay. Then we got a more basic mountain. And another placekeeper card. I remember the professor on Tulare Community College cracked a Midnight Hunt booster and got one of those and was like, oh, they have these in Arena. These are wild cards. It can be anything you want it to be. And I'm like, no. I mean, he knows, but he's having a... the guy's allowed to have some fun. You know, we're all allowed to have a little bit of fun, right? And yes, in Arena they do have wild cards you can get out of boosters, which you can usually exchange. You can exchange for a card of of that wild card's rarity. I haven't played Arena in like a long time, but yeah, I've got some. Got the dragonfly back, right? Yes. Okay. All right. So we got another dragonfly suit, another Kami's flare, another You Are Already Dead, another Tamio's safekeeping, another mirror shell crab, another golden tailed disciple, another volted. Wait. We already have all this. Yeah, another Voltage Surge. Another Twisted Embrace. Era of Enlightenment. It's a Saga enchantment for 1 generic and 1 white. 1 lore counter, scry 2. 2, you gain 2 life, and it becomes Hand of Enlightenment, a 2/2 human monk enchantment creature with first strike. And then we've got Banishing Slash, which I think we already had. Yeah. Then we have Nezumi Prowler, a 3/1 rat ninja artifact creature for 1 generic and 1 black. Has a ninjutsu cost of 1 generic and 1 black, and when it enters the battlefield, target creature you control gains death touch and lifelink until end of turn. Oh, yeah, we got the alternate version of this. That's right. Okay. Yeah. I knew that sounded familiar, but you learn to discover the impossible. Then we got, oh boy, Ryu, Storm's Edge, a 3/3 legendary human samurai with first strike for 2 generic, 1 red, and 1 white. Oh, that's exactly what I was looking for. Whenever a samurai or warrior you control attacks alone, untap it. If it's the first combat phase of the turn, there's an additional combat phase after this phase. Ooh. Ooh, we got a foil. We got a shiny alternate art Inkrise Infiltrator. That looks awesome. Like, just, yeah. I mean, sometimes the foils just look amazing. Got a showcase island. And we got another construct token. Well, I got my my Boros Samurai Commander. Now I just have to dig through my old stuff from M12, I think, to find stuff for Exalted, and yeah. Oh, just y'all watch. Anyway, another Ecologist Terrarium. We have Chain Flail Centipede, a 2/2 equipment insect equipment artifact creature for 2 generic and 1 black. Has a reconfigure cost of 2. When it or a equipped creature attacks, it gets +2/+0 until end of turn. All right. It's kind of neat. We got Season of Renewal, an instant for 2 generic and 1 green. I don't think we pulled this one yet, so. Choose one or both. Return target creature card from your graveyard to your hand. Return target enchantment card from your graveyard to your hand. Okay. Then we have Planar Incision. It's a instant for 1 generic and 1 blue. That is the aforementioned, I think it's the aforementioned Jin-Jitaxis, the blue Praetor of New Phyrexia. Exile target artifact or creature, then return to the battlefield under its owner's control with a +1/+1 counter on it. Ooh! Next up, Regent's Authority, an instant for 1 white. Target creature gets +2/+2 until end of turn. If it's an enchantment creature or a legendary creature, instead put a +1/+1 counter on it, and it gets +1/+1 until end of turn. Okay, alright, I like it. To be fair, I'm a bigger fan of +1/+1 counters than I am just straight up buffs, because, yeah. Anyway, next up we have Crackling Emergence. It's a land enchantment for 1 generic and 1 red. Enchanted land is a 3/3 red spirit creature with haste. It's still a land. If it would be destroyed, instead sacrifice Crackling Emergence, and that land creates indestructible until end of turn. I can fuck with that. We can fuck with that. We fucked with it. We get another Peerless Samurai, another Jukai Preserver, with a non-foil Inkrise Infiltrator. That's cool. The foil looks so much better though. Then we have a saga, The Long Reach of Night. 1 and 2 lore counters. Each one is sacrifice a creature unless they discard a card. 3, it becomes Animus of Night's Reach, a 0/4 spirit enchantment creature with menace. This is a nod to the Myojin of Night's Reach. Whenever Animus of Night's Reach attacks, it gains +X/+0 until end of turn, where X is the number of creatures creature cards in defending player's graveyard. Oh, okay. They're only called Anvil. They have a alternate art Selfless Samurai. I don't remember if we pulled one regular one so far, but it's a 2/2 Fox Samurai for 1 generic and 1 white. Whenever Samurai Warrior attacks alone, gains lifelink, sacrifice Selfless Samurai, and target creature control is indestructible. I think I have, actually. Another Ghost Shintai of Lost Wisdom. Then we have, another Mythic. Atsushi the Blazing Sky. Oh, cool, okay. A legendary dragon spirit. A 4/4 legendary dragon spirit with flying and trample for 2 generic and 2 red. Okay. When Atsushi the Blazing Sky dies, choose one. Exile the top 2 cards of your library. Until the end of your next turn, you may play those cards. Or create 3 treasure tokens. So there was a cycle. So in the Kamigawa, the original Kamigawa block, the first set, Champions of Kamigawa, instead of dragons, you had in each color a dragon spirit. And so this set has new dragon spirits because, as I recall, the red one was Ryusei. I mean, I know there are new dragon spirits in it. I pulled the black one. Then we have a Jungle Hollow. Land that generates black or green enters the battlefield tapped, and when it does so, you gain 1 life. And we get another Samurai token. But if we don't pull another of the black one, I will be showing it off at the end of the last of the unboxing. Alright. Another Shrine Steward. Another Moonsnare Prototype. Another Imperial Oath. Another Ambitious Assault. Lethal Exploit. Favor of Jukai. Oh! Alternate Art Guardians of Oboro. We got the regular version a little while back. Samurai you control can attack until they didn't have Defender. Another Intercessor's Arrest. Another copy of the Modern Age. Blade Blizzard Kitsune, a 2/2 Fox Ninja for 2 generic and 1 white. Okay. Has a ninjutsu it's got double strike and a ninjutsu cost of 3 generic and 1 white. So, okay, alright. Why did I put that there? Then we have Sokenzen Smelter, a 2/2 Goblin Artificer for 1 generic and 1 red. At the beginning of combat on your turn, you may pay 1 mana and sacrifice an artifact. If you do, create a 3/1 red contract artifact creature token with haste. Okay. Okay. Then we have Born to Drive. It's a creature artifact enchantment for 2 generic and 1 white. As long as the enchanted creature permanent is a creature, it gets +1/+1 for each creature or vehicle you control. Channel 2 generic, 1 white. Discard Born to Drive. Create 2 pilot creature tokens. Okay, alright. They can crew vehicles as though their power were 2 greater, so as though they had a power of 3. Then we have the Reality Chip. A 0/4 legendary artifact jellyfish equipment for 1 generic and 1 blue. Okay. You may look at the top card of your library at any time. As long as the Reality Chip is attached to a creature, you may play lands and cast spells from the top of your library. Oh! Has a reconfigure cost of 2 generic and 1 blue. I like that. Then we have a foil, Fang of Shigeki. It's a 1/1 Snake Ninja enchantment creature for 1 green with Death Touch. It is shiny. We have Thornwood Falls. Enters battlefield tap. When it does, you gain 1 life. Generates green or blue. And a construct. Oh, we got one of the construct tokens that Smelter makes. Yeah. I have to admit, I was a little surprised we didn't get a Ninja Commander deck, but at the same time, I'm not, because vehicles and modified are two things they really kind of want to focus on. So yeah. Anyway, first off, we've got Brute Suit, a 4/3 vehicle artifact with vigilance and crew rating of 1 for 3 generic, or for 3 mana. And that's all it's got. Then another Death to the Kami. No, we got a Geothermal Kami. 4/3 spirit for 3 generic and 1 green. When it enters the battlefield, you may return an enchantment you control to its owner's hand. If you do, you gain 3 life. Nice. Futurist Sentinel, a 6/6 vehicle with crew rating of 3 for 3 generic and 1 blue. Man, that'd be fun. Wanderer's Intervention, an instant for 1 generic and 1 white. Wanderer's Intervention deals 4 damage to an attacking or blocking creature. Okay. We have our Unstoppable Ogre, another Sky Swimmer Koi. Oh, we have the non-alternate Nezumi Blade Blesser. I think that's what we got of him. Yeah, okay, cool. Alright, so we've seen the alternate art on Nezumi Blade Blesser. But, yeah, it's a 3/2 Rat Samurai for 2 generic and 1 black. Death Touch as long as you control an artifact. Menace as long as you control an enchantment. Alright. Then we've got another Heir of the Ancient Fang. Behold the Unspeakable. Oh! I remember the Unspeakable. The Unspeakable was a blue legendary demon in Champions of Kamigawa. Fun thing was there were 3 blue instants that if you played them all in the same turn, you could simply just put the Unspeakable into play. I think from your library. Creatures you don't control get -2/-0 till end of your next turn with 1 lore counter. 2. If you have 1 or fewer cards in hand, draw 4 cards. Otherwise, scry 2, then draw 2, and it becomes Vision of the Unspeakable, a 0/0 spirit enchantment creature with flying and trample, which gets +1/+1 for each card in your hand. Oh yeah, the Saga's cost is 3 generic and 2 blue. There's yeah. Next up, we have another web. Yeah, I think it's another one. And then we have Naomi, Pillar of Order, a 4/4 human advisor for 3 generic, 1 white, and 1 black. Whenever she enters the battlefield or attacks, if you control an artifact and an enchantment, create a 2/2 white samurai creature juggling vigilance. Okay, cool. Then we have the Goshintai of Hidden Cruelty. It's a 2/2 legendary shrine and enchantment creature for 3 generic and 1 black, and it has Death Touch. Beginning of your end step, you may pay 1, destroy target creature with times X or less, where X is the number of shrines you control. Oh, and our rare, Ogre Head Helm, a 2/2 Ogre equipment artifact creature for 1 generic and 1 red. There's a reconfigure cost of 3. Equipped creature gets +2/+2, and whenever the helm or equipped creature deals combat damage to a player, you may sacrifice it. If you do, discard your hand, then draw 3. Okay. Then we got Swiftwater Cliffs. Enters the battlefield tapped, generate 1 red or 1 blue. Gain 1 life when it enters the battlefield. I think we've already pulled that. Yes. So another Swiftwater Cliffs. And a Spirit Token. quick reorganizing. Got a little more room to spread things out, so make it less likely that shit will fall over. You know, like that. Okay, moving on to our next booster. Alright, we got ourselves another Papercraft Decoy, another Iron Apprentice. We got Return to Action. It's an instant for 1 generic and 1 black. Until end of turn, target creature gets +1/+0 and gains lifelink, and when this creature dies, returns to the battlefield tapped under its owner's control. Okay, alright, like it. Then Harmonious Emergence, another Moonfolk Puzzle Maker. Did we get one out of the box? I know yeah, we did, okay. Another Light the Way, another Experimental Synthesizer, another Coiling Stalker. Yeah. I don't think... Oh, okay, we must have the, I think we've just got the alternate art on it. So yeah, here's the regular art on the Coiling Stalker. It's a 2/1 Snake Ninja for 1 generic and 1 green with ninjutsu cost of 1 generic and 1 green. When it deals combat damage to a player, put a +1/+1 counter on a target creature you control that doesn't have a +1/+1 counter on it. Then we got our Gift of Wrath. Tales of Master Sashiro. A Saga enchantment for 4 generic and 1 green. 1 and 2 lore counters, put a +1/+1 counter on target creature or vehicle you control, gains vigilance until end of turn, then becomes Sashiro's Living Legacy, a 5/5 Snake Warrior enchantment creature with vigilance and haste. Okay. Then we have Goshintai of Ancient Wars, the Red Shrine. It's 2/2 for 2 generic and 2 red. It's got First Strike also. What it does when it, at the beginning of your end step, for if you pay 1, X damage target player or planeswalker, number of shrines you control. Then we've got another Imperial Recovery unit. And we also got the Goshintai of Boundless Vigor. 1/1, green, trample. You pay 1 with it, put a +1/+1 counter target shrine for each shrine you control. Ooh. Then we've got Goro Goro, Disciple of Ryusei, a 2/2 legendary goblin samurai for 1 generic and 1 red. Now remember, I said Ryusei was the original Kamigawa block's dragon spirit, red dragon spirit. So, 1 red. Creatures you control gain haste until end of turn. 3 generic, 2 red. Create a 5/5 red dragon spirit creature token with flying. Activate only if you control an attacking modified creature. Okay. We got the alternate art forest. And another blank card. Alright, another Spell Pierce, another Ecologist Terrarium, another Lethal Exploit, Favorite Jukai, Disruption Protocol, I think we've got that. Yeah, we got it. Another Repel the Vile, Another explosive entry. We got Jukai Trainee, a 2/2 human samurai for 1 generic and 1 green. Whenever it blocks or becomes blocked, it gets +1/+1 until end of turn. Okay. Then we get another Voltage Surge, another Modern Age. With Bronze Cudgels. Equipment artifact for one mana. Equip cost of 1 for 2 mana until end of turn. Equipped creature gets +X/+0, where X is the number of times its ability has resolved this turn. Potentially that could be great, but you need a lot of mana to make it work. Then we've got Seismic Wave. Instant for 2 generic and 1 red. Seismic Wave deals 2 damage to any target and 1 damage to each non-artifact creature target opponent controls. I like any target. Next up, Malicious Malfunction. Sorcery for 1 generic and 2 black. All creatures get -2/-2 until end of turn. If a creature would die this turn, exile it instead. Then we've got Lizard Blades. 1/1 lizard artifact creature equipment with double strike for 1 generic and 1 red. Equipped creature gains double strike. Reconfigure cost of 2. Okay. Then we got another Dismal Backwater and another Construct token. Alright, another Shrine Steward. Now we got Suit Up. It's an instant for 2 generic and 1 blue. Until end of turn, target creature or vehicle becomes an artifact creature with base power and toughness 4/5. And draw a card. That can be extremely useful. Target something that's got power toughness less than 4/5, and yeah. Next, then we got Lucky Offering. Sorcery for 1 white. Destroy target artifact with mana value 3 or less. You gain 3 life. Okay. Scrapyard Steelbreaker, a 3/4 human warrior artifact creature for 3 generic and 1 red. 1 mana, sacrifice another artifact. Scrapyard Steelbreaker gets +2/+1 until end of turn. Okay. Another Chainflail Centipede. Another Season of Renewal. Sunblade Samurai, a 4/4 human samurai enchantment creature with vigilance for 4 generic and 1 white. Channel, 2 mana, discard Sunblade Samurai. Search your library for a basic plains card, reveal it, put it into your hand, then shuffle. You gain 2 life. I like that. Then we got the non-foil Fang of Shigeki. Another Modern Age. Then we have the Unforgiving One, a 2/3 spirit with menace for 2 generic and 1 black. Whenever Unforgiving One attacks, return target creature card with mana value X or less from your graveyard to the battlefield, where X is the number of modified creatures you control. Okay, alright. Then we have Roadside Reliquary. It's a land. It can be tapped to add 1 colorless mana to your mana pool, or for 2 mana and tapping and sacrificing it, draw a card if you control an artifact. Draw a card if you control an enchantment. Okay. We get Akiba Salvage. It's a sorcery for 4 generic and 1 black. Return target creature or vehicle card from your graveyard to the battlefield. Then put 2 +1/+1 counters on that permanent if you control an artifact and an enchantment. Oh, and we got the blue Dragon Spirit. Kyrie, the Swirling Sky. A 6/6 legendary Dragon Spirit with flying and ward 3 for 4 colorless and 2 blue. When it dies, choose 1. Return any number of non-land permanents with total mana value 6 or less to their owner's hands. Mill 6 cards and return up to 2 instant and or sorcery cards from your graveyard to your hand. Okay. Oh, and we got a foil Thundering Raiju. A foil alternate art Thundering Raiju. That's nifty. Got an island, just simple ass island. And another samurai token. Oh man. I got this box had two of the Dragon Spirits. Plus I got another one. So that's, yeah, I got most of the Dragon Spirits. That's awesome. I could do Grixis Dragon Spirits. I won't. Maybe. Alright, another Automated Artificer, another Spell Pierce, another Favorite Jukai, Disruption Protocol, Repel the Vile, Explosive Entry, Virus Beetle, Inkrise Infiltrators, Sky from Recoy. We got a Saga, Boseiju reaches Skyward. So enchantment for 2 generic and 3 generic and 1 green. 1 lore counter. Search your library for up to 2 basic forest cards, reveal them, put them in your hand, then shuffle. 2 lore counters. Put up to 1 target land card from your graveyard on top of your library. 3 lore counters, transform it. Branch of Boseiju, a 0/0 plant enchantment creature with reach. Branch of Boseiju gets +1/+1 for each land you control. Okay. Then we got Silver Fur Master, a 2/2 rat ninja for 1 blue and 1 black, with a ninjutsu cost of 1 blue and 1 black. Ninjutsu abilities you activate cost 1 colorless less to activate. Other ninja and rogue creatures you control get +1/+1. Okay. I dig it. I dig it. Then we have Patchwork Automaton, a 1/1 construct artifact creature with ward 2 for 2 mana. Whenever you cast an artifact spell, put a +1/+1 counter on Patchwork Automaton. Nice. That I like. And then we have Flame Discharge. It's an instant that costs X generic and 1 red. Deals X damage to our creature or planeswalker. If you control a modified creature as you cast a spell, it deals X +2 instead. Neat. Then we've got March of Reckless Joy. It's an instant for X colorless and 1 red. As an additional cost to cast a spell, you may exile any number of red cards from your hand. The spell costs 2 less to cast for each card exiled this way. Exile the top X cards of your library, play up to 2 of those cards until the end of your next turn. Okay. We got Blossoming Sands. Generates, I think we already got one of those, actually. Pretty sure we did. Oh, no, okay, alright. I was wrong. It happens. Generates green or white mana. Enters the battlefield tapped, and when it enters the battlefield, you gain 1 life. And we got another red construct token. Alright. Alright, another Papercraft Decoy, another Reckoner's Shakedown, another Faded into Antiquity, another Arm Guard Familiar, another Dragonfly Suit, Aki Emberkeeper, 2/1 Goblin Warrior enchantment creature for 1 generic and 1 red. Whenever a non-token modified creature you control dies, create a 1/1 colorless spirit creature token. Okay. We have the alternate art for the Jukai Trainee, which we did see earlier. I know that. Another Voltage Surge. Another Era of Enlightenment. We got Runaway Trashbot, a 0/4 construct artifact creature with trample for 3 mana. Gets +1/+0 for each artifact and or enchantment card in your graveyard. Okay. Then we have another Walking Skyscraper. It's an 8/8 contract artifact creature for 8 mana. Costs 1 less to cast for each modified creature you control. We got one, I think, in the blue-white commander deck. It's got trample. Has hexproof as long as it's untapped. Okay. So you can give it vigilance. It's hexproof all the time. Then we've got yeah. Well, unless you yourself tap it. Next up, Anchor to Reality. It's a sorcery for 2 generic and 2 blue. As an additional cost to cast a spell, sacrifice an artifact or creature. Search your library for an equipment or vehicle card, put that card on the battlefield, then shuffle it. If it has a mana value less than the sacrifice permanent's mana value, scry 2. Then we've got Aishin, 2 heavens as 1, a 3/4 legendary human samurai for 1 red, 1 white, and 1 black. Yes. If a creature attacking causes a trigger ability of a permanent you control to trigger, that ability triggers an additional time. Oh, I like that. We have a foil Dragon Spark Reactor. It's an artifact for 1 generic and 1 red. Whenever it or another artifact enters the battlefield under your control, put a charge counter on Dragon Spark Reactor. 4 mana, sacrifice Dragon Spark Reactor. It deals damage equal to the number of charge counters on it to target player, and that much damage to up to 1 target creature. Nice. Okay. We got our forest and another spirit. I'm actually curious. Oh, that is a different forest. Okay. Well then, since it's a different forest, I'm hoping one of you get a foil of these showcase lances. Those look so nice. I imagine they look so pretty in foil. Anyway, on to our next booster. Another Dramatist Puppet. Another Planar Incision, another Regent's Authority, another Crackling Emergence, another Return to Action, Harmonious Emergence, Moonfolk Puzzle Maker, another alternate Nezumi Blade Blaster, another Heir of the Ancient Fang, Azusa's Many Journeys, a Saga enchantment for 1 generic and 1 green. 1 lore counter, play an additional land this turn. 2, you gain 3 life. Exile, return transformed as Likeness of the Seeker, a 3/3 human monk enchantment creature. Whenever Likeness of the Seeker becomes blocked, untap up to 3 lands you control. Nice. This is traveling back to Azusa. I know it has to do with seeking, but I think lost, but seeking or something. A very popular card in extended formats such as Commander and Modern and whatnot, because her text is very simple. You may play 2 additional lands every turn, or on your turn. Next up, we have the Colossal Sky Turtle, a 6/5 turtle enchantment creature with flying and ward 2 for 4 generic, 2 green, and 1 blue. Channel, 2 generic, 1 green. Discard Colossal Sky Turtle, return target card from your graveyard to your hand. 1 generic, 1 channel, 1 generic, 1 blue, discard, return target creature card to its owner's hand. Okay, alright. Next up we have Generous Visitor, a 1/1 spirit for 1 green. Whenever you cast an enchantment spell, put a +1/+1 counter on target creature. Ooh. Next up is the Mobilizer Mech, a 3/4 vehicle artifact with flying and crew 3 for 1 generic and 1 blue. Whenever it becomes crewed, up to 1 target vehicle you control becomes an artifact creature until end of turn. That sounds really familiar. I hope I'm... Then our rare, we've got Spring Leaf Avenger, a 6/5 insect ninja for 3 generic and 2 green with a ninjutsu cost of 3 generic and 1 green. Whenever Spring Leaf Avenger deals combat damage to a player, return target permanent card from your graveyard to your hand. Okay. We got the Bloodfell Caves. Enters battle tapped. When it does so, you gain 1 life. Generates both either red or black mana when tapped. And we got another construct. Oof. Alright, we got ourselves another Iron Apprentice. Then we've Grafted Growth. A land enchantment for 2 generic and 1 green. When it enters the battlefield, put +1/+1 counter on target creature or vehicle you control. Enchanted land has tap and 2 mana of any one color. That I like. Next up is Greater Tanuki. A 6/5 enchantment, dog enchantment creature with trample for 4 generic and 2 green. Channel 2 generic, 1 green. Discard Greater Tanuki. Search lever for your basic land card. Put it on the battlefield tapped, then shuffle. Okay. Next up we have Saiba Trespassers. A 3/5 Moonfolk Ninja artifact creature for 4 generic and 1 blue. With a ninjutsu cost of 3 generic and 1 blue. Or no, channel. Channel 3 generic, 1 blue. Discard. Tap up to 2 target creatures you don't control. Those creatures are untapped during their controller's next untap step. Okay. We have a Moth Rider Patrol, a 1/1 Fox Warrior with flying for 1 white. For 3 generic, 1 white, and tap, you may tap target creature. Okay. Next up, we have Tawashi Song Shaper, a 2/2 human artificer artifact creature for 1 generic and 1 red. Whenever another artifact enters the battlefield under your control, Tawashi Song Shaper gets +1/+0 until end of turn. Okay. We have Kaito's Pursuit, a sorcery for 2 generic and 1 black. Target player discards 2 cards. Ninjas and rogues you control gain menace until end of turn. Okay. Next, another Twisted Embrace, another alternate Guardians of Oboro, another Okibo Reckoner Raid. We have Reinforced Ronin, a 2/2 artifact or human samurai artifact creature with haste for 1 red. At the beginning of your end step, return Reinforced Ronin to its owner's hand. Channel 1 generic, 1 red. Discard. Draw a card. Then we have the alternate art of Norika Yamazaki, the Poet, a 3/2 legendary human samurai with vigilance for 2 generic and 1 white. Whenever a samurai or warrior you control attacks alone, you may cast target enchantment card from your graveyard this turn. Okay. Then Enthusiastic Mechanaut, a 2/2 goblin artificer with flying for 1 blue and 1 red. Artifact spells you cast cost 1 mana less to cast. Oh, that's always nice. Next up, a rare Invoke Despair, a sorcery for 1 generic and 4 black. Target opponent sacrifices a creature. If they can't, they lose 2 life and you draw a card. Then repeat the process for